Another day, another story. Nearly 7 millennia before movie nights and microwaves, humans snacked on popcorn, according to a new study. People in what is now Peru were eating popcorn as early as 6,700 years ago, according to researchers. Welcome to Tabo Eminent Channel. Telltale traces of their snacking habits, ancient cobs, husks, stalks and tassels, were recently unearthed at Paradones and Huaca Prieta, two coastal sites that were once home to prehistoric settlements. A study based on the find appeared this week in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences. After examining the cobs, the researchers determined that the Peruvian site's ancient occupants didn't only pop their corn, they also ground it into flour and may have cooked it in other ways as well. At this early stage of maize's history, however, it didn't represent a major component of their diet. This would change by the 12th century, when maize cultivation became vital to the Inca Empire's rise and subsequent expansion across Peru. Corn was first domesticated from a wild grass in Mexico nearly 9,000 years ago, according to study co-author Dolores Paperno, a curator at the Smithsonian's National Museum of Natural History. It then made its way across Central and South America, where hundreds of distinct maize types, including the ancestors of sweet corn, which many people eat today, arose. The cobs and other corn scraps found at Paradones and Huaca Prieta indicate a diversity of kernel shapes and colors, a sign that this process was already in full swing. Our results show that only a few thousand years after its domestication, corn arrived in South America, where its evolution into different varieties that are now common in the Andean region began, Paperno said. This evidence further indicates that in many areas corn arrived before pots did, and that early experimentation with corn as a food was not dependent on the presence of pottery. The discovery described in the study suggests that popcorn came about 1,000 years earlier than previously thought. It also represents a rare example of early maize remains, since the humid tropics between Central and South America are not conducive to the grain's preservation. Much of what we know about corn evolution comes from microscopic remnants. Because there is so little data available from other places for this time period, the wealth of morphological information about the cobs and other corn remains at this early date is very important for understanding how corn became the crop we know today, Paperno explained. How did popcorn's earliest addicts prepare the crunchy treat in a world without microwaves, stovetops or artificial butter? Since they didn't even have ceramic pots at their disposal back then, chances are they roasted the cobs directly over coals or flames. Later inhabitants of Peru's northern coast would perfect the technique by developing the world's oldest known popper, a shallow vessel with a handle and a hole on top. Around 300 AD, the first popcorn machine made its debut 1,500 years later at the 1893 Chicago World's Fair. Popcorn was indeed popular in ancient Peru. Archaeological evidence suggests that popcorn has been cultivated and consumed in the Americas for thousands of years, with some of the earliest evidence dating back to ancient Peruvian civilizations. The oldest known popcorn remnants were found in the Bat Cave of west central New Mexico, USA, and they date back to around 4,000 to 6,700 years ago. However, there is evidence that popcorn was cultivated and enjoyed by indigenous peoples in the Andes region of Peru even earlier. The indigenous peoples of the Andes, such as the ancient Moche civilization, around 100 to 800 AD, are known to have cultivated and consumed maize, corn, in various forms, including popcorn. The use of popcorn in ceremonies and rituals has also been documented in the archaeological record. Popcorn was likely a significant part of their diet, and it may have been consumed both for its nutritional value and its cultural significance. Popcorn was made by heating dried maize kernels until the moisture inside caused them to pop and expand. This process was likely discovered by early farmers experimenting with maize. Over time, popcorn became not only a practical source of food but also a cultural and ceremonial element in various societies throughout the Americas. So, yes, popcorn was popular in ancient Peru, and it has a long history of consumption and cultural significance in the region. The corn song, popcorn and the Moche festival. In the heart of ancient Peru, amidst the majestic Andes Mountains, there thrived the Moche civilization. Known for their intricate pottery, towering pyramids, and advanced agricultural practices, the Moche people had a special place in their hearts for maize, particularly the magical transformation of maize into popcorn. The story begins in the bustling village of Huaca del Sol, nestled in the Moche Valley. It was a time of celebration, as the villagers prepared for the annual Festival of the Corn, an event that held deep cultural significance. The festival marked the end of the harvest season and the abundance of maize, a sacred crop to the Moche. The centerpiece of the festival was a grand bonfire in the village square, surrounded by the entire community. As the sun dipped below the horizon, the festival's elder, wise old Abuela Killa, stepped forward with a woven basket filled with dried maize kernels. She was accompanied by young children who carried ornate clay pots. With great reverence, Abuela Killa poured the kernels into the clay pots, each adorned with intricate maize motifs. The villagers watched in awe as she placed the pots over the roaring bonfire. The heat began to work its magic, causing the kernels to sizzle and pop. The sound, like 1,000 tiny firecrackers, filled the air. The Moche believed that the popping of maize kernels was a direct connection to the spirit world. They thought that the pops and crackles represented the voices of their ancestors, communicating their blessings and guidance. The children eagerly listened, imagining their forebears whispering tales of wisdom and courage. As the popcorn danced within the clay pots, the aroma of butter and salt filled the air. The Moche had their own unique flavors, such as chili and cacao, that they sprinkled onto the popcorn to create a sensory symphony of taste and smell. The villagers shared stories and laughter around the bonfire, indulging in the delicious popcorn. It was a time of unity, gratitude, and reflection on the bounties of their land. The popcorn became a symbol of not only nourishment but also of cultural continuity and connection to their ancestors. The Festival of the Corn continued late into the night, with traditional dances, music, and offerings made to Pachamama, the earth goddess, for her generosity in providing the maize harvest. The Moche people believed that their reverence for maize and popcorn kept them in harmony with nature and the cosmos. As the festival concluded, Abuela Killa would carefully collect the clay pots and save the remaining popcorn, a symbol of hope and sustenance for the days ahead. In ancient Peru, popcorn wasn't just a snack, it was a bridge between the living and the spirits, a testament to the Moche people's deep connection with their land, their history, and the corn that sustained them. The Festival of the Corn and its beloved popcorn celebration ensured that this bond remained unbroken, passed down from generation to generation. The Guardian of the Popcorn, a Moche tale. In the sun-kissed valleys of ancient Peru, where the mighty Andes met the fertile earth, there lived a small Moche village called Amanancancha. This village was known for its thriving maize fields and the secret guardian of its cherished crop, an elderly woman named Mama Chaska. Mama Chaska was revered by the villagers for her wisdom and her role as the guardian of the popcorn tradition. She had inherited this responsibility from her own grandmother, a tradition passed down through countless generations. The secret of making the finest popcorn in all the land was entrusted to her, and she took this duty with utmost seriousness. Each year, as the maize crop ripened, Mama Chaska would gather the community at the sacred maize field. With a graceful hand, she'd select the finest, golden cobs, ensuring that they were perfectly dried and mature. These cobs were reserved for the sacred popcorn ceremony that took place during the Festival of the Harvest Moon, an event that celebrated both the harvest and the village's deep connection to the land. The Festival of the Harvest Moon was a spectacle to behold. Villagers from neighboring communities gathered to witness the Moche's revered tradition. The highlight of the festival was the moment Mama Chaska took center stage with her treasured cobs. She held them aloft and offered gratitude to Pachamama, the earth goddess, for her benevolence. With the setting sun casting a golden hue upon the village, Mama Chaska began the ceremony. She placed the cobs atop a bed of hot stones arranged in a pit. Carefully, she covered them with leaves and sprinkled them with water, invoking the ancient spirits of the land. As the stones heated, the maize kernels began to pop, releasing a delightful aroma that tantalized the senses. The villagers watched in awe as the kernels danced, transformed by the fire into the sacred popcorn. The pops and crackles seemed like a harmonious song, a melody that connected the living with the spirits of their ancestors. The popcorn represented the cycle of life and the continuity of their people. Once the transformation was complete, Mama Chaska removed the popcorn from the pit and sprinkled it with a special blend of herbs and spices. Each flavor had its own significance, some were for protection, others for prosperity, and still others for unity. The popcorn was then distributed among the villagers, who savored it as a symbol of their shared heritage and the bounties of their land. The festival of the harvest moon continued late into the night, filled with dances, music, and laughter. It was a time of reflection on the village's history and the promise of a prosperous future. Mama Chaska's role as the guardian of the popcorn tradition ensured that their connection to the land remained unbroken, their culture preserved for generations to come. In Amanaganja, popcorn was not just a snack, it was a sacred tradition that bound the community together and celebrated their deep reverence for the land that sustained them. Mama Chaska, with her gentle wisdom and the secret of the perfect popcorn, was not just a guardian of a tradition but also a keeper of the village's heart and soul. Thanks for watching.